We can speak in डॉक्टर साहब आपकी कुर्सी खाली अपनी कुर्सी संभालिया करो तो पता होना चाहिए कि तुम्हारी कुर्सी दो चीजें एक तो जब गिलास में पानी लें तो ये एटिकेट है कि या उसको खत्म कर दें या चूंकि ये बाद में मुझे साफ भी कर दें तो आप ये ज़हन में रखें कि अगर जूस या पानी लेते हो तो उसको या फिनिश करें या कम डालें। थैंक यू। और दूसरा ये है कि ये आपके लिए ये है इसको खत्म करके जाना है, इसको ऐसे छोड़ के नहीं जाना। The food is for us this afternoon. We are going to start in 5 minutes, so take your positions please, especially हमारे भाई राय खालिद साहब, who is uncle of everybody in this room or younger brother of mine. So he will take a seat in a minute. I'm very thankful to ARY, Matthew Buxton and TV786 and Dunia and Musa Saab, the journalist. I want to thank them first, that at the end if I don't thank them, they don't mind. So I'm really thankful. So we will start in 2-3 minutes because Ashraf from Jung is just clearing his security, and I just wanted to say that I'm very pleased. We have got all the speakers, although the person who came from USA was the earliest, the person who came from Pakistan was the next, the person who is in UK was the last one, but I'm very pleased that he was the last one, not least one. So let's give them a big clap at least. Yes. Thank you. In few minutes, डॉक्टर साहब आओ।
मोबाइल फोन भी बंद करवा दो।
मैं अभी मैंने अपनी कर दी है, दोबारा एक दफा कहूँगा। लॉर्ड साहब प्लीज। लॉर्ड शेख साहब एक ग्लास
नोट करना डिवीजन भी शायद वो कहते हैं ना पंजाबी तल्ला।
लॉर्ड शेख साहब, डॉक्टर अशरफ चौहान, सरवर बारी, डॉक्टर आमना बुट्टर, I'm very thankful to all of you coming here, especially to Lord Sheikh Sahab, who promised that he will drop in, and he has fulfilled his promise. I'm hoping there is a big debate going on in the Parliament, you can see, and it will carry on up till 10 o'clock. I'm hoping few other MPs too already came and they have gone. They said we show our faces to you. Many will come and they will go. So the people who are here, I'm very thankful to you. Today, our debate
I
know, but I think for recording it might be. I think it is gone. It's gone. So what we are debating today, role of overseas / dual national Pakistanis in Pakistan. I think we always confuse that there is a one community as an overseas Pakistani. They are not. There are 3 categories of overseas Pakistanis. Number 1 are those who carry Pakistani passport, and they work in most of the Middle East countries, and they can't have any nationality of those countries because they are our Muslim brother countries. So they don't allow any Pakistani, even if he or she lives there for 50 years, 100 years, they are Pakistanis and that's it. No nationality of those countries. Then there are other countries which ask you to surrender your nationality once you become nation of that country. And there are many of that nature as well. Then there are third, which allows you to carry on your nationality, and there are 14 countries of that nature, including United Kingdom, where we are standing today, that they allow you to keep your nationality and become the nation of that country. Most of those countries allow you to prosper in your business, become councillor, become mayor, become MP, become minister, become even prime minister if you have the support of that. So they have no restriction on you for that. So today we will be debating our role of overseas Pakistani in Constitution 1973. When that constitution was established and became a constitution of Pakistan, there was not a single country with dual nationality. It became the phenomenon which became part of our lives later on. So at that time, Buttar and the people who made that constitution thought that anybody who will surrender the Pakistani nationality and become foreign national should have no right to become the member of parliament in Pakistan. And he put that. Nobody cared about it. We have Muin Qureshi, our caretaker prime minister. We had Shaukat Aziz, our prime minister for many years. Nobody cared. But suddenly, few months back, or possibly 1 year back, somebody saw it and he challenged one parliamentarian, and then it became an issue because the courts were jam law with the government, political government, so they thought this is a good time to score points. And the point scoring started, and many overseas Pakistani dual national became victim of it. We are asking the Pakistani state to overcome this flaw in the constitution, amend it, because until and unless it is amended and the overseas Pakistani have the same right as people of Pakistan region or living in Pakistan, this will continue. So let's discuss it, debate it. My point of view is that overseas Pakistani should have equal right in Pakistan as people living in Pakistan once they enter the Pakistan. As soon as they enter the boundary of Pakistan, they should have exactly same rights as the people of Pakistan have, and that should be a norm as it is when I enter Britain soil. As soon as I land here, I became British. I show British passport to the immigration, they never check me anything. They put it on computer and ask me to go, and then I can do whatever I like in this country as a British national. So we should have the same right when we enter Pakistan. So that is my point of view, but let's listen to other scholars and specialists who were victim. Dr. Amna Buttar, let me introduce you to three of my speakers first, and then I will ask Lord Sheikh to say a few words, and then we will start the debate, and then whenever he will leave. I think Dr. Amna Buttar is MBBS doctor. She was living and practicing in United States of America. She decided to go to Pakistan a few years back and became the parliamentarian in Punjab Provincial Assembly. She served as MP there for over 4 years. Dr. Ashraf Chohan is an MBBS doctor and does practice here. And if you go to his Harley Street, which I do visit sometimes, he runs a very expensive and good earning money in United Kingdom. He also decided that I'm going back and taking part. He fought 3 elections, and in 3rd election he won his provincial seat. And I'm very pleased to say that when he gave up his seat, or he was made disqualified, he gave that seat to his younger brother, Ejaz Chohan, and now Nawaz Chohan, and he's now MP in Punjab. So his work in his constituency was so valuable that people voted his even brother. Sarwar Bari has lived in United Kingdom during Ziaul period as an exile, and he worked very closely with many people here on human rights and other issues. We went back in 86.
After they died.
After they died, 87. And he established a charity called Pattan there, which is for Pattan means soil of river soil. And he has done a lot of work in Multan and other areas for displaced people from flood. Now he's a director. He was a Secretary General previously. Now he's a director of Free and Fair Election Network, which is observing elections in Pakistan. They have already thousands of people, and during this period he has observed 2002 election, 2008 election, and other by-elections as well. He was here, and we took this chance to invite him to speak to us this evening on our subject. He's flying tomorrow morning, so you can only catch him this evening. I think Amna and Dr. Ashraf Chohan are here till day after tomorrow. You are flying on day after, so you can catch them. So can I, with this, once again welcome you all, and we will have a lovely debate. I want to give them maximum 10 minutes each, and then I will ask you to contribute and engage with them, whatever point of view you have. Can I first of all invite Lord Sheikh to speak on this issue and say a few words before he leaves or sit down and listen to other speakers.
Like when I came here, I didn't realize I would be asked to speak. But one thing you learn in British politics is the ability to speak at the drop of a hat. And I think it's important. I think the points made by you, Mr. Lasharie, are very relevant. I always say, this is our home. I say, especially youngsters, this is our home. But I believe that the Pakistani diaspora has got an important role to play. Pakistanis have done very well in this country. They've excelled in business, in professions, in politics. And I believe that you still should maintain your contact with Pakistan. In this regard, I want to say 2 things. Firstly, I'm a businessman. And I go around the world. For example, I saw the Qatari delegation today. And I go around the world and I say that you need to promote UK PLC. Pakistanis have done well professions, business. So there are two things with Pakistani. They're hard-working people and there's certain acumen. For example, they're very good at being accountants, lawyers, computer work, excelled, doctors. If we didn't have Pakistani doctors in NHS, perhaps the NHS will collapse. But I think that the diaspora must think also of perhaps going back to Pakistan, using their resources, using their expertise, because obviously one thing I would urge Pakistan, I would like to say that my father came from Amritsar, but my mother's side, my mother came from Srinagar, but she was brought up in Lahore. And I remember she used to say about Anarkali and Shahi Masjid, and she used to talk about Shalimar Bagh. And as a young boy, she used to tell me the stories of her upbringing in Lahore. So I have connection. In that sense, I still have affection for Pakistan. What's happening in Pakistan, obviously, does concern us. There are problems relating to terrorism. We can leave that aside. What I would urge you people always, be proud of where you come from. Please do not undersell your country. I've heard Pakistanis underselling the country. No, there are some very good aspects in Pakistan. There are good prospects to do business in Pakistan. Use your knowledge, use your expertise. You know, there's a write-up in today's newspaper was saying about British companies going back to Pakistan. There are opportunities. For example, I'll give you an example, there are opportunities on wholesaling, on manufacture, on perhaps, and I think something Dr. Chohan may want to take up, that Pakistan could be used for promoting the software work. A lot of, like India used to be. Pakistan can do with regard to call center. Pakistanis have that sort of acumen. So that is the first thing I'll say to the diaspora. Please think about doing something in Pakistan. You know, I hear Pakistanis saying, oh, this is happening, The only way you can make correction is by actual involvement. So there is this issue, firstly, about your professional know-how, about your business know-how. And the second point, obviously, is political involvement. One thing I'm very glad is Pakistan now is a democratic country. I believe in democracy, but obviously there are certain issues there. There are issues, obviously there are issues regarding development, and I think that we must appreciate the issues regarding corruption. And I was one of the parliamentarians who sat on the committee when we will look at the Bribery Act. For example, it's unlawful for anybody doing business in UK to give or take bribe in overseas country. We can't give bribe here. If I give it, I mean, I'm a businessman. If I start giving backhanders, I can be prosecuted. My company, I'm chairman of 4 companies. My company can be prosecuted. So let's bring some ethical behavior, proper behavior, and I would urge that Pakistanis here could have a postal vote. What is stopping you people from doing postal vote? British people, when they go abroad, they have postal vote. So I think this is something you must press for. Let us keep the democracy going. It's very, very important. And obviously, I mean, you mentioned Lasharie Sahib about Middle East. Right, I've known people, children, who are born in these countries. I won't mention the countries, they don't have the right to passport. At least here, you got a right to British passport. But you still have Nadra card. Yeah. Yeah, you have a right to have Nadra card.
Niqab, they call it.
What is it called?
Niqab.
Niqab card. Obviously, that would give you the right to go back, and certainly, I think, something to think about. 2 things I would urge: business involvement, professional involvement, and also the right to exercise the vote. And I wish Pakistan well in democracy. Indeed, absolutely. And I hope the country can get things are wrong with the country, undoubtedly. Let's face it. There is a terrorism aspect to it. But I was saying that your Prime Minister came here. I think Lasharie Sahib, you were there. I was making a speech and I said, they don't realize how badly Pakistan has been affected. How many of your military people have been killed? How many of them have been killed? And people don't realize it. The government is doing all we can. Pakistan in a situation, there's Afghanistan on one side, obviously, and therefore there are issues here. But undoubtedly, I hope all these ills can be overcome, and I hope that they do offer. And Dr. Chohan, I know him, I know that I've known Dr. Chohan for several years. He's very keen, he's a very good friend of me and Dr. Chohan is Rami Ranger. And we formed that organization which was bringing Indians and Pakistanis together. Because we took the view, it got to be people-to-people contact. Undoubtedly. This is very, very important. Or there's an issue regarding Kashmir, but when you think about it, there are so many commonalities, not commonalities of language. Punjab. You go to Amritsar, you go to Lahore, they're all speaking Punjabi. You go to Multan, they're all speaking Punjabi. Dress. My younger sister here is wearing salwar kameez. You go to Amritsar, the Sikh women are wearing salwar kameez. So there are commonalities, so many. If you go to a Sikh wedding, Hindu, Punjabi wedding, there's so many common traditions, so many cultural traditions. There's so much commonality there. And therefore, I believe that we must work towards making this people-to-people contact very, very important. Business, and I believe honestly that Pakistan and India should do more business. Now, after the Second World War, what happened? France, Germany, they were the two leaders. There was a man called Adenauer and de Gaulle, is that right? Adenauer and de Gaulle, they would form the common market. What was the purpose of common market? One of the reasons for common market was bring people together, bring people doing business together. If you can get people to do business together, they will be, obviously, there will also be social functions, social benefits, and obviously benefits to both the communities. So with these words, Mr. Lasharie, thank you very much indeed for asking me to speak today. And I'll stay on for the next 10 minutes or so and listen to the other speakers as well.
Thank you very much, Lord Saab. And my next speaker is your friend, and I hope you will start. I want to put Sarwar Bari in the middle, that because he is speaking on our next election. So can I ask Dr. Ashraf Chohan to speak?
My close friend, Lord Saab, of course Lasharie Saab, and all people on this side of the table and on the other side of the table. I think everybody is comfortable in English and Urdu. We can mix and talk. Yes. And Punjabi. First of all, I must say that Lasharie Saab has run this forum for probably 2 decades or 3 decades.
27 years.
27 years. And on its own, and obviously, you know, everything costs money and effort. First of all, I think let's give him a round of applause for his effort. The reason is that if we do not have such platform, it's very difficult to collect people and then express your views. Lord Saab, of course, he was born probably in India, so probably Uganda, but
East Africa.
But his affection for Pakistan, Punjabi chi sanu mufti chi laad mil gaye, and his dedication to Pakistan is not less than people who are in the parliament and they belong to Pakistan. So I must say thank to him for his continuous support for Pakistan. Pakistan does need support from across the globe, and particularly people like him who have positions in other parliaments. Now the issue of today has been discussed, actually over-discussed and overexposed. So everybody knows what it is and what we are talking about. And there's no point in saying now what the problem is, but now it is the time to actually see whether there is any solution to it. Only yesterday in Pakistani newspaper, there was a voting that whether people living abroad should be given right of vote. Answer was yes. Whether people living abroad should be given right of contesting election, 88% people of Pakistan said no. So let's take this as a fact, and rather being emotional and being supportive of this claim that they should be allowed, which I do claim. But the reality is that this issue does not have a core support from people. Also within people living in England, there are a lot of people like Shahzad Saab, many people actually believe that people living abroad should not be given right of contesting elections. At the same time, another study has come forward from America, and it's a very sensitive study, which is called Pakistan 2020. And they have discussed a scenario of next 8 years. And obviously, very gloomy picture has been put forward. And then they have come forward to give the solution of this problem. And one of the solutions they have proposed, which they think is likely, is that Pakistani living abroad will get together and emerge as a political force, and then will go back, and the experience they had from, for example, lovely country like United Kingdom and many other countries, as Lord Sahib said, we have learnt over the years here how to live better, and I don't hide that. We now know that we have to wait for our line in the queue, we have to stand, we have to be honest, we don't have to bribe people. There are so many things we have learned from this country in 2-3 decades. And even if we try not to implement those when we go back, we cannot stop that, because whenever I go back, I stand in the line in the bank, and until the bank manager comes around and says, you don't have to stand here, I know you come forward. But we have a habit of it. So these are so many good things, because the topic is what overseas national can do. And as you have heard before, we can do a lot for that country. And it is also very clear that that country does need support. Now, question is that I was here, I was in Conservative Party, I was very lucky to be chosen as a candidate. I was about to stand in the election in 2007. And meanwhile, leaders were here, so I had an opportunity. I went back in 2002, contested election. Nobody stopped me. I gave them documents. They said, fine, you contest the election. I contested election in 2008. They checked documents. I showed them British passport. They said, perfectly fine, you can contest the election. And now after 4.5 years, what you have seen is, and actually you do not know the gravity that the Chief Justice of Pakistan right now has repeatedly declared that Pakistani living abroad who have 2 nationalities are foreigners. In our decision against us came from Supreme Court does not say that you are disqualified being a member. It also says that you should be prosecuted, and we are all facing criminal charges, and we might be behind the bar in Pakistan in summer for 3 years in the nice weather. So, and then we have to return all the money we have received, which we used to receive about 40,000 rupees a month. But nobody has given any consideration that I left my practice, which was many, many times more than that. I left my opportunity to be perhaps part of the British Parliament. I had a lot of opportunities, but I was going to Pakistan 2 times a month, and overall my bill of what I paid to PIA runs into 1.5 crore. So you see, we have to see. But then when I heard further discussions by the Supreme Court calling Pakistani living abroad foreigners, traitors, loyal to Queen, and then they went on. But I do not blame anybody. But what I feel is that people sitting at those levels are not aware of what Lord Sahib has said. It's a global time. It's a different time. It's communication time. And then Pakistan needs so much from abroad. And our skills. I was in the parliament. They were framing a law that a doctor who does any negligence and the person dies out for that. Lasharie, so just let me know when the time finishes.
No, it's not. Carry on.
When, if by negligence a patient dies, the doctor should be tried for murder. And the law was in the parliament. And I stood up and I said, excuse me, I have practiced in England for 30 years. I haven't seen anybody like that. Negligence, there is intentional murder and there is unintentional murder. there is a negligence in your profession, you know, any profession, railway track, etc., etc. But intention, there is an issue of intention. So if I wasn't there, perhaps by now, 400 doctors would have been hanged there. So you see, these are the contributions we can make. And if nobody else came up with that issue, that whole thing was passed through the Health Select Committee. I can give you many other examples as well what we did over there. Now, our own community here is divided and they think we should not be member over there. Fine, if that's the case, fine, I have no problem with that. But make the law clear, should have made the law clear. Now, I was discussing this with one of the High Court judges in the aeroplane, and the guy gave me the argument. He says, if I come to London without visa on immigration booth, and I have forged documents, and the guy, forged document or some faulty document, whatever, the guy lets me get in, it's all my fault, and the person who is sitting there, it's not his fault. So my argument is that it is your fault because you have done fraud, intentional fraud, you should be taken to justice. But the person sitting there has a job as well. He is representing the Supreme Court, he is a judge. And if I showed him this is my British passport, sir, I'm not sure what the law is. I have been allowed 2 times before to contest the election, but 3rd time I want to make sure that I qualify for this. And the person says yes. And he gives a letter to me that you can contest the election. Then now Supreme Court comes around and says that I have done a crime. I have forged documentation. I lied to the court. I don't think I lied. I did everything I should have done. And then after 4.5 years, they are treating us like criminals. I have no problem, but I must say, by such attitude, A, it appears that the judges of Supreme Court of that country needs to know the word a bit more. They need to know that 13 countries in Europe has common passport and travel and people have rights. They need to know that when you leave one country, and if your law says that you are still national there, you still retain the rights of that original country. So 2 issues I just want to focus here, and I want to close. A, Lasharie sir, I suggest that we hold our own meetings and decide first what our majority wants. If we all agree that we should not be part of Pakistani politics, then fine, let's be, but then what is our role to be Pakistani, and let's play our role as originally Pakistani. We always say we are very proud to be British. We always say that we are so grateful to this country who gave us. I don't know what we returned to this country so far. Yes, we pay a tax, but we can't get away from that. But, you know, this is an excellent country. We all have stories to tell. We can write books. We came with one-sided ticket, and some people came without tickets hanging in the aeroplane things. But this country has given us everything. And we are so grateful to this country. And when I was told that you want to contest the election again, you leave British nationality, I said, I'm sorry, I will not leave British nationality, because that Pakistan, I was born there. I owe a lot to Pakistan, even in spite of this judge, who in my opinion is the most dishonest person I have ever come across, because of so many things which we know. His son has got a lot of cases, and we see what we all know what is happening. But my love for Pakistan is unconditional, because that country needs that. Actually, that country needs everybody who's even 100% indigenous, British, white gentleman, because that we are in the global world. If there is a spark anywhere, and if there is a problem anywhere, whether it's Kenya or Pakistan, anywhere, which can be source of problem in the future, like we saw a few years ago, we all must help that. And we, because we belong to that country, originally we have more links, we know people, we see people suffering, our duty is a little more. Therefore, I will only sum up to say that we British Pakistanis first decide that whether we want to take this case further, or we are happy that whatever the law has said, and then we should just be quiet. But as I said, that an American study has clearly said that the options, they have discussed 3 options. One of the options is that overseas Pakistani go back, because as said earlier, corruption is the #1 killer of that country. #1 killer. And the lifestyle of the justices, generals. You saw one general going back to Pakistan yesterday, and you saw the cars and the reception and everything. So there's a lot of difference. When I go back to Pakistan, I'm ex-parliamentarian, and I will be arrested very quickly when I go there. So you see, there are a lot of problems. We have to fight against corruption, injustices, and so many things. Therefore, as a British Pakistani, we have a duty for Pakistan to bring a change there. Whether we can be member of the parliament or not, that is a different subject. Please address that and decide. Then we should move forward, make a forum, and push this further if we want to. Thank you very much.
Dr. Thank you very much. And what we will do is, at the end, we will have a chance to speaker to respond to the comments from the people from the floor. Can I also welcome my wife Abda has arrived, although my sister Abda is sitting here, and my son and many others. But I want to welcome especially Dave Anderson, who is the chairman of All Party Parliamentary Group, and he will speak after Dr. Amna Buttar has spoken, because Dr. Amna Buttar want to respond to some of the comments by Dr. Saab. I agree with her because we have already discussed it, so I will not mention it. She will say it. But then once she has spoken, then I will ask Dave Anderson to speak for Third World Solidarity, All Party Parliamentary Group, and then we will come to Sarwar Bari. I know Lord Saab has to leave, so can we give him a big hand to Lord Saab? He has to go to another event. Can I invite now Dr. Amna Buttar to speak on role of overseas Pakistanis into Pakistan and wherever they live. Thank you very much, Lord Saab. Dr. Amna Buttar, stand up. I think
sure.
people,
So people can see.
yeah, can see and.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I begin in the name of Allah, most merciful and benevolent. I want to thank Lasharie Saab for it's a big honor for me to be able to speaking with you about this topic, and I want to thank you for coming. I agree with Lasharie Saab that I think this is such a topic that it really should be interactive. I want to talk about this, and I want to say why, what, how. Why should we dual nationals participate in politics or whatever, participate in things in our country of origin? And I think part of that is, it's not just dual nationals. Anybody in this world living today, where we are so connected, the world is so small and so connected because of social media and many other things, that we must care about what happens. It took me a long time to figure it out, that when I used to go back to Pakistan, I used to be very judgmental of my rich friends who used to live in these fancy homes in Islamabad and Lahore, and I used to say, how can they not care that there is poverty and misery at their doorstep? And then one day, after 10 years of living in America and judging my friends, one day it occurred to me, I'm no different. Just because poverty and misery is not at my doorstep, there is poverty and misery in this world. There is poverty and misery in my country of origin. There is poverty and misery all over the world. So I am no different than my rich friends in Lahore. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean, and now because of social media I can see it as it is happening. So that's why we should care. We used to say in Afghanistan when things were happening, we used to say, it doesn't matter, it's over there, not my country. Then things started happening in my country, extremism, terrorism, and we used to say, it's over there in northern Pakistan, I've never been there. Those are not my people, I am different. So now it's happening in Lahore, now it's happening in Islamabad, now it's happening in Karachi, now it's happening in Multan, Chennoor. Nothing, no land, no piece of land is now sacred anymore. I took my daughter back when I went to Pakistan. I wanted my daughter to see the view from my street in Lahore. I wanted my daughter to love, and she's here today. I wanted my daughter to love Lahore the way I love Lahore. But unfortunately, it's very sad for me to say that our children will never see that part of the country, that part that we saw, peaceful, very nice place to grow up. They will never see it. And if we don't care, if we don't go into why and what, I think we're going to be like Palestine, we're going to be like Iraq, we're going to be like other places where our children will not even be able to go back. We will not have a country of origin left, unfortunately. So that's why. That's just my opinion, and you can, of course, disagree with it. Next, go to what we can do. That's also my opinion, that I think that when dual citizens, dual nationals, when they want to help their country of origin, they, majority of the time, what we end up doing is we build hospitals, we build orphanages, we build schools, but until and unless we will participate in the political process and policy making process and infrastructure building process of that country, no matter how many schools, how many hospitals, how many orphanages we build, it is all going to be futile effort, because all it is going to take is a regime change. It is going to take is this culture of nepotism. You can educate them when they don't have jobs. When only prime ministers and chief ministers peons, people can get jobs, what good is those schools? What good are those hospitals where in the hospital only chief minister and prime minister's people can go? So we have to, we the people who were chosen and privileged ones who went to live in a country, I live in the United States, where we see the fruits of democracy. We see the fruits of equal justice. Yes, there are problems, but because of fruits of democracy, now it is our duty to give 200 million of Pakistan those fruits of democracy. That's the why we should do it. Now, what is we must. That's what I disagree with Dr. Ashraf Chohan. I think especially Dr. Ashraf Chohan and people like me, because we have lived there, we have seen that the only thing to do for dual citizens is to make sure that we participate in the political process. It doesn't have to be contesting elections. It can be other ways. And I also don't think that we should put all the blame on the Chief Justice of Pakistan or the judiciary of Pakistan, because they are only interpreting a document that we put there. We should ask our party leaders. We should ask the politicians. We should ask them, and we should say, when you want to keep your government, when you want to keep your provincial government and federal government, then you barter and you लेन देन करते हैं, जोड़ तोड़ करते हैं, भाव ताव करते हैं. So why is it that only time things that you want to barter is you say, okay, we'll take the women's bill, the domestic violence bill, and we'll put it aside and you give us this? No, don't do that. Why do you say, oh, we want you, I don't know where they came up with a dual national amendment, but they bartered us. You know why? Because we don't have a voice. So we will say, no responsibility without authority. You want our money? Stop giving us the guilt. Why doesn't the American government or American people give me the guilt? What I have today, I have it because of I am an American. Nobody sees that whose daughter I am or whose mother I am or whose wife I am. My MBBS degree, my MD degree, my training. I can email somebody my CV and I get 10 job offers. It is that country. Why they don't put that guilt trip on me and say, why you go back to Pakistan? Why you give your effort and money and your political acumen to Pakistan? So my country should also stop giving me the guilt trip. If I want to do this. I am crazy enough to want to care. I want to have a country. I want to have a country for my generations to come, our country of origin. So I want to care. And that's why I think the only, in my opinion, if you don't agree with me, I will convince you. I will try to convince you and make you see what I see. The only way for us to have a say in that country, to give to that country, is participate in the political process. We don't have to contest election. Not everybody is crazy like Dr. Ashraf Chohan or myself that we give up millions of dollars here and go back to Pakistan. But you can support people who want to do that. You can go to your Congress, go to your MPs and say, I pay taxes here, I want in foreign policy influence in my country of origin this way. This is what I want. You do that. Third world solidarity. We have created organizations in Pakistan, in US, Progressive People's Link. We should all link up also, and we should say elections are coming. So we can run ads in newspapers. We can run ad in Urdu newspaper, which we are going to do that. We are raising some money in America, and we are going to have half-page ad for 10 days in Jang and Nawaibat. That doesn't have to, we don't care who comes into power. You just want to say, put your perspective there. कि जो सिपा साहबा के साथ देता है, जो तालिबान के साथ देता है, जो terrorism के साथ देता है, उसको वोट मत डाले. People of Pakistan, they need to learn, we need to learn from them, they need to learn from our experience. And we show them how sustenance of democracy is the answer to end extremism, and how democracy is going to be sustained is by strengthening civil society. And in 10 minutes only that can be said. And our unity is important. Third world solidarity, we should support people like Mr. Lasharie, we should support people like little groups that are in US and other countries who want to influence, who don't want to build hospitals, who don't want to build orphanages, who don't want to have clocks that say we educated this many children. That's important, but that is government's responsibility. We want to influence the political policy making. I just want to make one last point. That too, I think that, who are dual nationals? Majority of people who are dual nationals are either from lower middle class or middle class. So one way to go have middle class entry into politics is to allow dual nationals to participate in politics. And the elites, the feudals, the industrialists, the political elite, the corrupt regimes, they will never want dual nationals to participate in politics because we're not corrupt. We don't care. We have another country to go to. We want our children to have 4 countries to go to. So we only care about, in a way, it is more altruistic than building hospital, because we only care about saving that country, only care about changing the policy. We want them to have what we have here. So the corrupt elite, the corrupt political elite will never want us to be. So but we should not give in to that. We should say, no, you want our money? Change the constitution. Why blame it on the judge? He's only interpreting a document that we put there. So change it. You want us to develop businesses there? We will only do it. You change the constitution. We raise our voice. Only then we can do that. In the end, I want to give a quote by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Shaheed, my leader. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Shaheed said, my dearest daughter, he said that he was talking to Benazir Bhutto, and he said that what is a civilized and sophisticated society? A civilized and sophisticated society is that makes a compromise with past and present, with religion and science, with modernity and spirituality, with materialism and Sufism, and that is a civilized society. And that is a society that is free of chaos and rich with culture and discipline. And that is what I think the whole political policy and the whole everything comes into that. And in the end, those people who say to us that we cannot, it's not possible, it's not going to be possible, I say to them, कि मुझे डराना समुंदर पे पुल नहीं होते, मुझे डराना समुंदर पे पुल नहीं होते, मेरे शऊर को रास्ते दिखाई देते हैं. Don't scare me that there are no bridges on the oceans. My conscience can see the ways. Thank you very much.
Dr. Amna Buttar, thank you very much. I think she responded basically to a few questions which Dr. Sabah raised, and then we will allow. But I know that Dave Anderson has to go back to the chamber. So let me tell you something. Dave Anderson was a miner himself. He became involved in trade union. Through trade union, he became the president of Unison, vice president and then president. In 2005, he was elected parliamentarian MP from constituency Bladen. And before I invite him to say a few words, can I tell you that we are celebrating our 27th anniversary on 9th of April, where keynote speaker is Dave Anderson, and he will explain what All Party Parliamentary Group is doing here. It is in Kensington Town Hall, organized by one of my friends who is the mayor and is a part of Conservative Party and a very strong supporter of Conservative Party. I tell you another thing. Dave Anderson is from Labour Party, and he's, as I said, chairman of All Party Parliamentary Group. Lord Sheikh, who had spoken, was from Conservative Party. He's the president of Muslim Friends of Conservative Party. Lord Qurban Hussain has joined us. He resigned from Labour Party and now is Liberal Democrat Party. He resigned on Iraq war, and I really appreciate him. Let's give him a big hand and welcome to this. And I hope he can stay up to the end. Can you? Or how long?
Until the vote is called.
Okay, so he is, I will not call him, he will listen to you and everybody, but can I invite Dave Anderson to speak? And as I said, another event, 9th of April, and then on 9th of June, I've said it to many of the friends, we are bringing trade unions and gala, Durham Gala, minor gala dinner in London. To introduce it, there are over 60,000 people who gather in Durham every year for past 138 years. And I want to introduce it in London, and our topic will be how trade union can get involved in world peace. So Dave Anderson will be working with me and Third World Solidarity to organize that. I am announcing it that you can also get involved in it. Can I invite Dave Anderson to speak?
Thank you, Mushtaq. One of these?
Yeah, of course. These are.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not actually plugged in.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, that's all right. Can I assure everybody in the room that I certainly didn't give up any millions to become an MP, but if everybody's got any millions, I'll take them off you, okay? We'll start with that one. Third World Solidarity for me says exactly why we're here tonight. If you read the reasons we're here, to promote and support human rights, peace and justice through dialogue and debate. And we stand for justice, peace, democracy and the equality of nations. Winston Churchill is a man who was very, very famous in this house. And I have to say, my political background makes me not a big fan of Winston Churchill, to put it mildly. But there's one thing he said I've always agreed with. He said democracy is the worst kind of political system, except for all the others. And that's the truth. For all its failings, democracy is what we make of it. When I say we, I mean we as human beings. I'm sorry I wasn't in the beginning, but I've picked up on the subject about people who are being refused the right to have what we call in this country a dual mandate, to people who can stand in more than one parliament. It may come as a surprise to people in this room that a number of people in this house actually have a dual mandate. We have MPs in this chamber who also sit in the Northern Ireland Assembly. We have lords in this house who sit in the Northern Ireland Assembly. It's still legal for Scottish and Welsh MPs to sit in both Scotland and Wales and in the Westminster Assembly. And until recently, we had MPs who sat in the assemblies and in the European Parliament. Now, I personally think that that's not necessary. I think it's not necessary because I believe we're a mature democracy. We're a democracy, albeit the fact that places like Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland are relatively new institutions in that they've only been around since the late part of the 20th century. The people involved in there have been involved in democratic politics for literally hundreds of years, and the history that we've got means that not just places like this, but the whole of our society is based on democratic principles and democratic institutions. Mushtaq mentioned the fact that I'm a very, very proud member of the trade union movement. I think that trade union movement has history going back much further than the Labour Party movement from my own point of view, at least almost 200 years. And I think one of the big things I picked up on the last speaker was getting involved in democracy doesn't just mean getting involved in elected politicians. It means things like civil society, and a key part to me of a civil society is if you have a free trade union movement. And I mean a free trade union movement, because the big test for a democratic country is, are you frightened of being opposed? Are you frightened of being challenged? And obviously, trade unions challenge people. They challenged my government when we were in power, quite rightly at times. They challenged the present government. But that's part and parcel of what democracy is about. It's about having a debate, and sometimes you lose the debate and sometimes you win it. And I'm in the sad position at the moment. In 2010, the people of this country chose not to support the things that I believed in. But that is part and parcel again of the democratic process, and you have to live with those defeats and make the best you can out of them. I believe that it's a completely different situation when we talk about Pakistan. Pakistan, for me, is quite possibly the key nation on this planet because of your history, which has been one of, to put it mildly, disturbed 75 years almost of confusion, conflict, a country born out of so many of the same things that we as a nation in the Western world created right throughout, particularly the Middle East and the Far East. When we drew lines on maps, they bore no relation to what people actually wanted in their own minds and hearts. And to some extent, we said to the people in that part of the world, there you are, get on with it. And I think we've made some huge mistakes. I was in Iraqi Kurdistan last week, and the people there, thankfully, are starting to improve their lives, but they're still a long way from where they'd like to be. And a lot of the problems they have go back to things we did at the end of the First World War as a colonial power. And I think we repeated some of those mistakes when we set up and drew the lines for Pakistan and India. But in so many ways, it's important that Pakistan does not fail. And I believe that anything that anybody can bring to the table to make Pakistan a country that can move forward in a positive way has to be embraced. It has to be given a chance. And for me, if people are saying, we don't want you because you've chosen to move away, and if you come back in some way, you're a second-class citizen or you're trying to pollute what we do, I actually believe that that is people who are saying, we don't want you to challenge our status quo. And that's the other thing about democracy. Democracy constantly challenges the status quo, because if it doesn't, then to be honest, it's pointless. Because the status quo, no matter how good you might feel, as somebody who's in charge of the status quo, is not always going to be the right thing to do. So I really do want to see things succeed. I think there's a truth that if Pakistan doesn't go forward, sadly it will go backwards. And that will be huge. People say to me about, what do we do if Iran gets the bomb? Pakistan's got it. If it's only that basic level of genuine fear for what might happen if things go wrong, because we all know the huge thing around the nuclear deterrent, if it goes wrong, all bets are off. And I really believe that we need proper democratic control and proper democratic engagement between people in the country and outside of the country to really make what could be a fantastically successful government, a successful country, be a real player on the world, and not just be a part of the world that for far too long has been used and abused by the powers outside and around where the Pakistani people live. I've been invited for many times by Mushtaq to go to Pakistan. It's looking good that we're going to be there in October, and I hope that by the time we get there, the election results have been run. Hopefully the election is done fairly, and hopefully have a situation what does lay the foundation for the country to go forward. And I can certainly say from my point of view, the point of view of Third World Solidarity, I would say all the members of this House, whatever the flags we fly under this House, I would think there's a huge amount of goodwill towards Pakistan and people of Pakistan and making the contribution that Pakistan as a country made. And the colleague said it before about what people have brought to this country and how well people have, in a sense, achieved because of this country. But we've achieved lots and lots through what the Pakistani people have brought to this country. There's lots of people in my part of the world who are in work today simply because of the work that Pakistani people are putting and the business that Pakistani people are putting into my part of the world. And I never ever forget that, because it's a key part of the success of our community. So I want to thank you for what you do, and I will say it, myself and Mushtaq will certainly continue to do what we do to try and help in any way we can. Thanks very much.
this is the very right time that we invite, and as I said, I've got people from different political backgrounds. Amna Buttar is from People Party, as you have already heard. Dr. Ashraf Chohan is from Muslim League Noon, and then now I'm inviting Nawaz Sharif. Means when I say Noon, it is Nawaz Sharif party. And now I'm inviting somebody who is from non-party, but part of civil society in Pakistan. And he is, as I said previously, is a director of Free and Fair Election Network, which is going to observe election in Pakistan in May next month. And he has invited us to come and visit him. If anybody wants to go, either contact me or contact him, because his details are with me. Can I invite? And he spoke last week.
Just before you invite him, please, sorry for interruption. If a vote at the House of Lords is called, which is imminent, I will need to go. Therefore, if you want me to say a few words, might as well say
here
no.
It is.
And if the vote is not called, I'll be here until the end.
I know you will stay here. So can I, before Sarwar Bari Saab, can I invite Lord Qurban Hussain, because we want to listen to him before he leaves, but he has promised that he will stay up to the end. I think you can come. Yeah, that's Lord Qurban Hussain, who is the vice chairman of our party parliamentary.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to you all. It's my pleasure always to speak on issues relating to Pakistan, because that's the country where I was born. Although I came here at the age of 14, and I've made Britain my home. This is where my parents are. This is where my family is, where my brothers, sisters, extended family, my children, my grandchildren are here. At one end, in the House of Lords, I'm among the very young people there, because the average age of members of the House of Lords is 79. And I am among the very young ones, and I feel very young when I'm in the House of Lords, but I'm, of course, at home, I'm a granddad. And therefore, I enjoy the best of the both worlds, I would say, in many ways. One, that of course I'm young at work and I'm old at home, but at the other end, I happen to, and with a lot of effort, of course, not only remember, but I'm fluent in Urdu, Punjabi, as well as English, of course. And therefore, it is something that not many people enjoy who were brought up in this country, who came to this country at a very young age. And may I just say that Urdu is not spoken in my family at all. None of my relatives speak Urdu, and anyway, I've picked that up, and I speak very well. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to go to a Pakistani audience, and I mentally prepared myself in Urdu. But nevertheless, I mean, it's not a problem. I can continue in English. That's not a problem. And of course, as some of the people here, of course, members of Parliament and others, who would not be able to understand me if I was to in Urdu, but not as much perhaps. I can only speak as much as I would. But anyway, just coming back to the point, the overseas Pakistanis' role. Now, I see overseas Pakistanis in two different sections. One is those who were born in Pakistan and came to work overseas. And out of them, there are two categories again. One is those who have settled with families in countries like America, Britain, and European countries. And those who work in Middle East, for example, who largely, unless you're professionals, you don't bring your families with you to Middle East, and you go back and forth, even if you have worked there for 50 years. You don't bring your families. And they consider themselves Pakistanis because they only have Pakistani nationality. And they think Pakistani, they dream Pakistani, they're Pakistani in and out all the time, even if they have spent a long time in the Middle East. However, those who are settled in Western countries, they have slightly different situation, whereby people like myself and Mr. Chohan and others who have been here for a very long time, but nevertheless, because we were born in Pakistan, we have a linguistic relationship. We have family, friends in Pakistan, and we consider ourselves to be dual nationals, and we are dual nationals, of course, and we do take keen interest what happens in Pakistan, politically, economically, otherwise. But then, of course, it's our children who are born here, who know very little Urdu or Punjabi, who are least interested in the events happening in Pakistan, and certainly not interested in Pakistani politics at all. And therefore, you cannot exclude them from being dual national, because they are dual national, but nevertheless they don't have that kind of interest as I will have, or Mr. Chohan will have, or others, Mr. Lasharie or others will have, who are British nationals with a dual nationality. Now, in Pakistani politics, it is, as I said, the only interest of those who were born in Pakistan. Those who were not born there, who were born and brought up in Europe, in America, in Britain, they don't have much political interest as such. Okay, it might be a very small minority who are interested in politics generally, and hence they might be interested in Pakistani politics as well. So, with the new laws that it's not a new law, but it's the new explanation of the law that the Supreme Court of Pakistan has come up with, and barring the dual nationals from fighting elections in Pakistan. For me, I have to think, I think in a different way. There are politicians who will play on the sentiments of people and say what people want to hear, regardless what the reality might be, regardless what might be the best interest of the people or the country, or what is right or not right according to the law. But they want to play with emotions of the people and say, well, we are Pakistanis, who the hell is the Supreme Court of Pakistan stopping us from fighting elections in Pakistan? I am saying that those particularly who are settled in the West, their children are here, their future is here, they ought to be putting all the energy. For me, whoever is elected, and I have to say elected, because I'm utterly against any form of dictatorship. Now, if it is the PML which wins the next election, whoever the Prime Minister is, I will welcome him as a British politician, Pakistani origin, British politician, I will welcome him. And so will I if it is the PP or I don't know which other party might win the elections. But let me tell you, let us take examples of the countries. Take Indian origin people, for example. They have settled in different parts of the world. Instead of having that desire to go back and fight elections in India, there are Indian origin people who are prime ministers of countries in the world. Take Fiji, take Trinidad and Tobago. They had prime ministers who are Indian origin. There are many countries in the world where Indian origin people are ministers. Of course, we have ministers here who are Indian and Pakistani origin, of course, for that matter. And, of course, in Canada, in South Africa, and many other countries of the world.
In US, we have a governor, Bobby Jindal.
There you are. Now, what I'm saying to you is, to serve Pakistan, you don't need to go and fight elections to serve Pakistan. Being a politician, you could influence the policies which are in benefit of Pakistan. You could promote democratic norms, and you could work for the better relationship, for better trade between Pakistan. And this is how you can help Pakistan to become stronger. Because what you want to do by fighting the elections is to improve the living standards of Pakistanis in Pakistan. and make Pakistan a strong country. You don't have to do that only by going there and fighting elections. You can do that even better if you are engaged in politics of the countries that you reside in, and you have your own influence there. We are here in the UK, for example. We have Baroness Warsi as one of the ministers now. And although Baroness Warsi and myself, we are from very different political parties, but I'm pleased to see her in that position. She was the chairperson of the Conservative Party for the last couple of years. And it is pleasing to see that the Pakistanis are making that progress. And of course, during this coalition government, I have to say, the ties between Britain and Pakistan has improved immensely. Our trade is more than ever before, larger than ever before. Our aid is much greater than it has ever been before. And I'm not saying it is because of Sayyida Warsi or because of us being in the power, but of course, it does matter when the policies are made. That if you have people who are sympathetic to a particular country, they will put a case better than perhaps those who are sitting in Islamabad might be able to do so for us. And I have to say that India, for example, again I'll go back to it because India has, although as much as being a Pakistani Kashmiri origin, I have one or two things that I don't agree with India at all, particularly in Kashmir, for example. But India is a large democracy, and it has a lot of influence. But who else helps India is Indian origin people who are in business and in politics overseas. This is how our business people here in the West can help Pakistan, and we can also encourage our own children to be involved, be loyal to the countries that they live in. Yes, it is for my grandchildren, for example. If I was to go back today to Pakistan, I have one uncle and one auntie there. The rest of the relatives are here. But if it was my grandchildren, they didn't have anybody, such close relative there at all, because their grandparents from both sides are living in UK. So who will they go and see there? Will they go back and settle there? If I have not been able to go back and settle there, even though कि मैं 14 साल का आया था, लेकिन ये कि मेरे अब जो हैं वो नवासे या वो मेरे पोते वो क्यों जाएंगे वहाँ सेटल होने के लिए? So yes, so what I'm saying to you is that there are different ways of supporting Pakistan for people who are Pakistani origin and who are settled abroad. Let us not keep battering the Supreme Court of Pakistan or Pakistani Parliament. Well, you'll have to give us a right to fight elections in Pakistan. Well, yes, there may be a few people who are interested in that. But one you need to remember, and this is important, when you become a citizen of another country, there are people in the room who can perhaps put me right if I've got it wrong, but my understanding is when I become a British citizen, I have to take an oath. I am loyal to this country. When you fight an election in Pakistan, you have to take another oath there. You can't take oath of allegiance in two countries. Don't push too much against this in Pakistan. I agree with the verdict of Pakistan Supreme Court. They have a long vision, I think. They have thought about all this. And those of us who want to go and fight election in Pakistan, there's nothing stopping us giving up our British nationality. We will still have the right to come to UK, as we have already obtained the right to remain in the United Kingdom for indefinite period before we became British. We will have that right as a Commonwealth citizen, and but we can give up our British nationality if so we are so eager to fight elections in Pakistan. And let us see how many will do that. I saw one or two politicians actually on television the other day, some political workers from different political parties saying that they have already applied. There was a lady, I can't remember now, she was from Pakistan Tehreek Insaf or something, who claimed that she...
They were already member, they've given up, they've got businesses here, they've given up nationality. They are in the
So what I'm saying to you is that there are plenty of ways of supporting countries of origin, other than, of course, fighting election there. With that, I've got a note to say to conclude. Yes, it's getting a bit boring now anyway, but I thank you very much, Mr. Lasharie, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Whatever
Please.
you said, I agree with.
Thank you, sir. At the end, you will have a chance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. I think this is a debate which Dr. Saab has already said that we should have this debate. Paul, thank you very much. Councillor Paul for as well. Thank you. I think we should have this debate, and today is the start. We will have many debates.
My friend, debate, it is not a debate, it is critique. I requested you allow the other people to participate.
Sir, let them finish.
Our main guest.
No, they are all main guests, so I can't differentiate. Sarwar Bari Saab will speak only for 7 to 8 minutes, and then I will open it to you. I've extended from 8 to 8:30 because I know 3 parliamentarians came and they took about half an hour. So I'm extending this room for 8:30. We will conclude this meeting at 8:30. And can I ask Sarwar Bari, as I said, is a guest speaker to speak on election of Pakistan and role of overseas Pakistanis in Pakistan. Thank you.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Mushtaq Sidhu Sahab ek bottle pani di de ana te naal ek glass vi de dena lag sahab. Thank you.
Well, I would like to basically quote here the Article 63A D, which basically covers the issue of dual nationality. I quote, disqualifications from membership of Parliament. A person shall be disqualified from being elected or chosen as membership of Parliament if or he ceases to be a citizen of Pakistan or acquires the citizenship of a foreign state. This is very clear in our constitution that if somebody would become a citizen of another country, he would disqualify himself or herself to be the member of Parliament of Pakistan. But at the same time, our constitution allows its citizens to become citizen of another state. So there, in my view, there is a contradiction which needs to be resolved. Now, there are now more countries where citizens have the right to become a plural citizens of various states. Even some countries, you can allow that you can become a citizen of more than 2 countries too. This is very important to address, and therefore I would like to have a debate in Pakistan as well, that either we need to change the law, but we can't violate the law. Well, law was there. When in 2002 general elections were held or 2008 general elections were held, law was there. But most political parties, judiciary, election commission, in fact, did not bother at the time of filing of the nomination papers. So it's a failure of everybody who was involved in 2002 and 2008 election or even before. But this debate has now surfaced the contradiction and the desire and has encouraged a debate in Pakistan which needs to be resolved. We must address this issue because this is an issue of not 7 million Pakistanis who are living overseas, but definitely people who are living in Europe and North America, because these countries do give dual nationality status, and Pakistan does as well, not Middle Eastern countries. Whether you live there for 30 years or 50 years, you can't become a citizen of Saudi Arabia or UAE. But also I think we need to look at that in 2011 and 12, overseas Pakistani contributed $13 billion to Pakistan's economy through remittances. And this is the amount which is sent through official channels. But if you add like hundi and cash being sent to families, then it is much, much larger. And the total money or the value of our export is only $23 billion. So overseas Pakistanis are contributing to our economy massively. So this is very important that we need to look into this. Moreover, foreign direct investment, we need to know that in the last year dropped to $600 million only. Massive drop. Without remittances money, Pakistan economy can't function, because now the donors are not very much interested in giving money to Pakistan. Pakistan has been printing currency massively. Also, this export or imports coming to these countries where Pakistan is living also contribute indirectly to our agriculture and industry, because most of the things you import in UK are consumed by, maybe a significant portion of that money is being consumed by Pakistanis themselves. So indirectly, the overseas Pakistanis are contributing to our economy, one through sending remittances, and secondly by consuming the exports which are being sent from Pakistan. But if we really look at that, it's 7 million people living outside, means they may have their families back home where they are sending money. So in my calculation, there's about 70 million people are being uplifted in Pakistan. It's almost the population of, I think, Great Britain, 70 or 80 million?
67.
62.
So it's not a small thing. It's a massive contribution of the overseas Pakistanis, and therefore it has to look into that. Moreover, Pakistanis working abroad, intellectuals, scholars, academics, doctors, they also contribute. Scholars like Hamza Alvi used to live here, Feroz Ahmad, Iqbal Ahmad, there a number of people who have been contributing not only to the debate about Pakistan, but also like the Hamza Alvi's thesis, post-colonial state, he was a great scholar. So they are also contributing in this way. But I think the point which I want to make is the most important, now we have, according to World Bank figures, Pakistan has 30% middle class. This formation of middle class in Pakistan is being basically helped by the overseas Pakistanis. And this silent revolution is happening in Pakistan. And this is primarily because of the remittances and the support of the foreign remittances being sent by Pakistanis living abroad. And you can already see that this is being articulated through political movement, like Tahir al-Qadri's phenomenon and Imran Khan's support is not youth, but also that new rising middle class is now trying to basically assert itself. And the traditional elite, Amna just mentioned that the traditional elite is resisting this change. And in my view, they can't stand to this, because people in Pakistan really need a change. They're not going to support the old politics of Pakistan. But the real issue is despite all this, contribution. Why overseas Pakistanis are failing to have an impact in Pakistan, or Pakistani politics, or Pakistani public policy. And this needs to be addressed by especially like people like Mushtaq Lasharie, who have been very successfully taking up issues of Pakistan through Third World Solidarity. I think in my view, most of the Pakistani politicians create divisions among overseas Pakistanis. And I have seen, London is the best example from that point of view. They pick people who have some ambition to contribute positively in Pakistan, they pick them, use them, and then they don't stand with them. Like this dual nationality issue, all these political leaders, they did not bother at the time of when they were negotiating for the 18th Amendment, they did not touch this. They could have done it. But this was the greatest embarrassment for our political people. I don't know how many people were dual national. I'm dual national. I live there, I stand up, I protest, I go to prison. And Chief Justice has no right to say that, and has a right to basically challenge our allegiance to Pakistan. If I have taken an oath in Pakistan, that does not mean I can't be, if I can love 10 million people, can't I live two countries? This is new era is being imagined. Like 30 years back, there were very few countries who would allow dual nationality.
Yeah.
The whole old paradigm of this, that you can only marry to one woman, or you can only be a citizen of one country. You can't be a global citizen. So this whole notion of internationalism. So in my view, this is there has been a paradigm shift. If you look at the diplomatic language as well now, the only problem is that the capital has been globalized. Human beings have not been allowed to become a global citizens. But the movement has been there now. Now more than half of the world countries do allow dual nationality. So I think I look at it as a very serious issue, but we can't betray the law, we can't cheat the law. In my view, in 2008, this should not have happened. We should have took up this issue in 2008, that let's change the law instead of violating the law. But I think this is very important that we need to, especially the overseas Pakistan. I'm a great believer, and I know that in Europe, democratization not only broadened but deepened when the labor movements formed their own political parties. In Germany, Social Democratic Party, in UK, Labour Party, and we just saw Dave Anderson here. He has come from a trade union background. So the social movements, in fact, converted into themselves into a political formation, and that pushed the society towards welfare state and to broaden and deepen the democratization. Now, in Pakistan, of course, things are changing. It's not very steady. I think it is the most vibrant country I have ever seen. I go to India. India, in my view, I should not criticize, but I think the Indian media is not that critical of their state policies. You would not see any writing coming from any intellectual except Arundhati Roy or maybe one or two other people who would criticize Kashmir policy of India. But in our country, if you look at the newspaper, you would find dozens of articles every month criticizing Balochistan policy, criticizing various policies. So our media is much more open and self-critical as well than media in India or media in Bangladesh or media in Sri Lanka. Similarly, civil society is very critical. Political society, traditional old political class is decadent in my view, but it is being challenged by new emerging intellectuals and the media as well. So I think the best way forward is that the overseas Pakistani, particularly in Europe and North America, they need to organize themselves. I would request Lasharie said that I think now, like in the 60s, and you may remember, sir, there was a movement, Hamza Alvi would tell me, that in the 60s they were not like Indians and Pakistanis. They were blacks and they were white. So there was a unity. And then this whole industry was developed, that ethnic industry was promoted in Britain. So as a result of that, the movement for change was weakened. I think now the time has come that the Pakistanis living in the UK and Europe and North America, they should form some substantive social movement. They must prepare themselves for a change in Pakistan. The change is coming. I live there, I know it. I feel it. The change is happening. But that change can be hijacked by some people, like it happened in 1968 and 70. Not the change came, but change came and the leader was the biggest feudal of Pakistan. Now change is coming and the biggest feudals have joined that change party.
Yeah.
So there will be another betrayal. Even if Imran Khan is very serious and sincere, it's not his sincerity. In politics, sincerity does not work always. You have to be very astute as well. So in my view, there is a danger, because there was enough evidence that ISI pushed a lot of old politicians to go and join Imran Khan. So that danger is there, but I think you people don't have any pressures. You have a huge space. But the thing which is needed is basically to a movement which is popular among Pakistanis. I know some people would become like Overseas Pakistanis Foundation. This morning I was looking at it. Nothing is there. It was run by a very efficient political party. The minister has come from a very efficient, middle class, professional political party. But if you look at the website of Overseas Pakistan, it does not give any information about Overseas Pakistan. And even the Ministry of Overseas Pakistani was also created. You go and visit their website, it doesn't say anything. So in my view, that the most important thing is now that I'm also British citizen. This country is my second home, because when I was wanted by a military regime, this country gave me a full protection. And I became a citizen immediately. And I think once you are a citizen, then there should not be any exclusion. So our law, Pakistani law, has exclusionary clauses. And we need to resolve this contradiction in our law. And we must stand together so that we should allow people who wanted to come and contribute in Pakistan through public policy or politics, they should have that space to avail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm opening it to the floor. But before I open it, can I ask Naruko Hara to stand up? She's doing masters. Stand up, don't worry. Stand up. She's doing global migration MSc in UCL, and she would love to speak to you, Lard Saab, and other people. So she's from Japan. She has worked in Karachi, pilot, Pakistan Institute of Labour, Education and Research. She's here now, so I just wanted to welcome her and introduce you to everybody, and that was the reason. Otherwise, everybody can understand now Urdu, and I think we might skip to Urdu. Can I invite Ahmad Shahzad, OBE, to speak, because I know he wants to say something on this, and he is most welcome to come here that he can speak. And I hope he will be as brief as he wanted other to be brief.
No, sorry, I've been very patient.
I know everybody else has been patient.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
I will invite many others.
This is the issue which is very close to all of our hearts. Okay, I'm very grateful to you that you have opened up this debate. It is the beginning. Today is not a, it is not a debate, it is a discussion, opening discussion. Okay, I put it that way. We need a debate of most probably a whole day, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours. And we got to invite our people from all over the country, all overseas Pakistanis. And I'll tell you why I wholeheartedly agree with our sister, Lady Doctor, that please do not garland our leaders who come from Pakistan and we lay red carpet for them, because they are not doing anything for us. All they are doing is damaging our cause, damaging overseas Pakistanis, the heart, and also damaging the mind of our young children. They are not doing any help to us. They are the culprits, basically. And second thing which I want to tell you is this, that I really actually don't mind. Dr. Saab, he been cheated. I have said on the television program, it is the fault of the election committee, as my brother said. It's the fault of the people who had accepted the nomination form. They should have stopped him. It is their fault. It is not Dr. Saab's fault. He is one of us, and also I sympathize with the lady doctor. It is not their fault. Yes, my brother has said very eloquently that there are only few people who want to go back, who want to help Pakistan. You see, these are sincere people. They are professionals. They can make a change. And they go with that, this philosophy. I went to, in 1992-93, when flood struck Pakistan, and built a hospital, a small hospital. Today, that same hospital seeing 40 to 50 women and children every day, free of any charge. So we all, and because of that small hospital, 35 other small units were built because people got inspired. We are all very patriotic, and we all want Pakistan to progress. Let me just tell you something, which is very, very important. And Lord Qurban Sahib has touched it, and it's very, very close to my heart. And Dr. Saab has himself mentioned. I have no problem with Dr. Saab or anybody else going and joining the political parties or getting elected into parliament. It's fine with me. They will be one of us. They will be speaking for our behalf, though they will be looking after their constituents, because they are going to elect them. The only problem is, what I believe very sincerely and very firmly, that we overseas Pakistanis have a huge problem. You just saw what happened to the telephone call charges. You just saw what happened to the visa recently. They privatized, and they had a very horrible thing behind it, which I can't sort of spell it out. So every time, if they need money, kardataro, mulk swaro, if they need our sympathy, जब फ्लड आया क्या हमने किया, जब 1965 की वॉर आई, हमारी माओं ने बहनों ने अपने सारा जेवर उतार के भेज दिया। 65 में मैं भी वहाँ जंग लड़ी, मैं रानी तोप का सिक्योरिटी ऑफिसर था, जूनियर कमीशन ऑफिसर था, स्कूल कॉलेज से आए थे। तो वी ऑल हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड. None of overseas Pakistanis who have not contributed towards Pakistan. We are so patriotic, we are more patriotic than people who are living in Pakistan. My problem is, I want to see that all those problems which we are having. Do you know how many Qabza groups are there? I put a petition to the Supreme Court. Not a single Khandan has been spared by those. And here my brother, Ashraf, who very eloquently printed so many stories. Qabza group, वो जो जिन ग्रुप क्या कुछ इनसे ये वो लूट रहे हैं हम लोगों को, because we are very patriotic and we want to contribute towards Pakistan and well-being of Pakistan. मेरी ख्वाहिश ये है कि देखिए, the people who represent us, they should be one of us. They should be from us. We should elect them here and then send them to those parliament in advance, parliament and local parliaments, So they will only and only fight for overseas Pakistan causes. Because they will be our representative. Their constituency will be us, we. Because if they are there, they fought election from like Gujranwala, the people of Gujranwala have every right to ask him to work for them and represent and protect their rights. He won't have a time to look after our interest. And it won't be fair that we ask him to sort of fight for our rights. इसलिए मेरा ये cause है कि हमसे वो लोग who we select here and we send for our rights protection. That is the main reason which I really and truly say. But on the other hand, forget about our children. They are not going to go to Pakistan. Because those crooks who are sitting there, look at this what's happening now. 63, 62 and 63. उसमें लिखा हुआ है साफ साफ कि those people who have taken money and not paid back, it's a long list. Those people who stand disqualified, अभी इलेक्शन कमीशन ने फॉर्म दे दिया है, उस पर लिखा है कि वो लोग जो डिस्क्वालीफाई 62, 63 क्लॉज ने की है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के, वो लड़ सकते हैं इलेक्शन इफ दे हैव ए स्टे फ्रॉम द कोर्ट. आपको पता है, इफ यू वांट टू टेक ए स्टे फ्रॉम द कोर्ट 5 मिनट
Shahzad, next time you will be my main speaker.
No,
please conclude.
Okay, I'm going to conclude.
क्योंकि आप आज ये थे मेरे लिए.
That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. But you also asked me. You also asked me to speak.
Taking 2-3 minutes, not 7.
But I'm just going to finish. I'm just going to finish. So therefore,
Raja Sahab, you are the next.
So therefore, if the Supreme Court, if the Election Commission will continue with these forms and accept the nominations, I am so sorry. You will never see change in Pakistan for 100 years. This is disgrace. This is absolutely, हमें बेवकूफ़ बना रहे हैं कि ये इलेक्शन कमीशन, चेयर ऑफ द इलेक्शन कमीशन इज इंडिपेंडेंट. ओ भाई वो तो है, बाकी चारों का क्या है? 3 PPP के हैं और 1 नून का है. अभी देख लिया आपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर के टिक कौन लगा है PPP का. So that is a fraud been taken place against us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ashraf. Thodi si, please be patient. I will allow everybody to speak, but be patient and be brief. Because obviously today I had a main speaker. Next time you will be main speaker and you will speak. Ahmad Ali Sayyid sahab.
मुझे सिर्फ 1 मिनट की बात करनी है.
जी जरूर.
क्योंकि मेरा अपना ख्याल ये है कि चूँकि पाकिस्तान में हमारे सियासतदान जो हैं वो एक सॉफ्ट टारगेट हैं हर किसी के लिए, चाहे वो स्टूडेंट है, चाहे वो एनालिस्ट है, चाहे कोई भी है, वो सियासतदान पे पत्थर मारना वो ज़रूरी समझते हैं अपने आप को ज़्यादा करने के लिए, बुलंद करने के लिए. इसी का शिकार ये ओवरसीज़ पाकिस्तानी जो आप लोग हैं, आप उसी का शिकार हुए हैं. क्योंकि चीफ जस्टिस साहब को भी एक सॉफ्ट टारगेट चाहिए था जिसे वो एक पत्थर फेंक के अपने आप को ऊंचा कर सकते. एक तो ये बात है. मेरा आप दोनों से, जो हमारे MPs थे, आपसे मेरी ये क्वेश्चन है, क्या आप मुझे ये सेटिस्फाई करेंगे कि क्या आने वाली असम्बली में इतनी ताकत होगी आपके सियासतदानों में कि वो उन लोगों को जो कि इस वक्त ब्यूरोक्रेसी के पिलर हैं, जो कि डुअल नेशनल हैं, इस वक्त आर्मी में सीनियर मोस्ट उस पर जर्नल बैठे हुए हैं जो कि डुअल नेशनल हैं, इस वक्त सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जस्टिस हैं कई, चूँकि मेरा ख़ुद भाई एक जज है इसलिए मुझे पता है कि कितने ही जस्टिस जो हैं वो डुअल नेशनल है. क्या और उन लोगों ने ये इसलिए रखा हुआ कि जब भी उन पे मुश्किल वक्त पड़ेगा वो उठ के यहाँ पे आ जाएंगे, जबकि आपका अदर वे राउंड है. जबकि पाकिस्तान में मुश्किल वक्त पड़ेगा तो आप लोग वहाँ पे जाएंगे. मेरा सिर्फ आप दोनों से इतना क्वेश्चन है कि ये आईनी तरमीम इतनी आसमानी सहीफ़ा नहीं कि इसमें तरमीम ना हो सके, इसमें अमेंडमेंट भी हो सकती है. क्या आने वाली असम्बली में इतनी ताकत होगी कि ये अमेंडमेंट कर ले? नंबर 1. एंड नंबर 2, ये जो जर्नल और जजेस और ब्यूरोक्रेसी के लोगों का मैंने नाम लिया है, क्या ये उनको भी काबिल गिरफ्त बना देंगे?
Raja Sahab, you wanted to say something? Yeah, please.
Mr. Lasharie, I'm very thankful to you. You know, this your slogan to promote and support human rights, peace and justice through the delegates in debate. This is the foundation of Islam. The whole Islam based on these things. Actually, the dilemma is this with the Muslims. What we speak, that is only verbal lip service is this. Our action is totally against all this. What the Amna has said, we people came over here from the very poor background, or middle class, and we have worked hard in this country. And we have learned so many things that we can go back and give our service to the country with the recognition of the people like you, Mushtaq Lasharie. You are running this forum for last 27 years, and I know you for last 20 years. But all is the debate, you come and sit and listen and disperse. There's nothing, no benefit goes to the...
Thank you, thank you.
And to what I was saying, you were saying you shown the British passport and you was taken the part of, I don't believe is this, because in the constitution of Pakistan does not allow dual nationality to hold any...
Thank you, thank you. Yes, young man.
मेरा छोटा सा सवाल है, I mean ये जो law है जो constitution में है, I think ये loophole है. I mean आप देखें जिससे उन्होंने बात की है पहले कि आपकी ब्यूरोक्रेसी में आपके जजेस, आपके प्रेसिडेंट, आपके पार्टी नहीं, मैं इसे बात कर रहा हूँ. हम लोगों को ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानियों को यहाँ पे नॉट इवन सेकंड क्लास, हम लोगों को थर्ड क्लास सिटीजन समझा जाता है. आई मीन वी आर लाइक सर्वर भाई सेड कि हम लोग contribute mostly to Pakistan, and but we on the other hand are treated extremely poorly. I mean, one small example, the Brazilian president Dilma Rousseff, she belongs to her father was an entrepreneur from Bulgaria. When she was elected as a president, the first thing she did, she visited to Bulgaria, and Gordon Brown asked her, why did you went back to Bulgaria? And she said, because my ties are with Bulgaria, because my father and mother was Bulgarian. But still, Brazilian people still feel for her and still voted her.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it is not one country. Or in USA, the president candidate was Spanish. So it is. I think it has been said already. So what I'm proposing is, Ashraf, do you want to say something? Yeah.
To be very honest.
Rahman Sheikh, I'm coming to you.
As I am speaking for the first time, if it is only 8:30, I wouldn't start. I have to make 3 points. And I mean, I need some patience. If I want to make points, I don't want to be interrupted.
No, but we have to finish at 8:30.
If we have to finish, then there's no point in stopping.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't make my points.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted some clarification in terms of when we use the overseas Pakistani term, we should not limit our stature or our thinking to Pakistanis or overseas Pakistanis who reside in the West. Because there are a number of, and there is a bigger number of overseas Pakistanis who actually reside in
Middle East.
Well, in other parts of the world, particularly in the Middle East, whose contribution is greater. So the dual nationality situation probably only applies to a very limited number of overseas Pakistanis.
3 million.
How do we resolve that contradiction within the, I mean, you pointed out, obviously there is a contradiction in law. Yes. And I think Dr. Amna pointed out very correctly that instead of, blaming the Chief Justice or the judiciary, it is high time that we get our Parliament to correct those situations.
I'm coming to you. Yes, young man. Quickly and then you.
Completely appreciate Dr. Amna's enthusiasm to have a change in the law. I second Dr. Sabir because I personally have called to submit my papers, and I told them that I'm a new nation. This is not a problem at all. You can submit your papers. So that's pretty clear.
Thank you, young man. Yes.
I just want to ask it. Just want to ask that I agree that people in this country should join the parliament over here and should get into politics over here. But do you not think that the youth of this country, especially like in universities and places like these, they're not informed about the opportunities? Like they think it's quite difficult or it's impossible, things like these. So I think we should have some sort of movement where we approach these people at university level or probably at colleges and stuff, Pakistanis, maybe in Pakistani community center or something, and just give them a briefing how they can enter the politics.
Thank you, young man. I'll answer it, means not to Lord Saab. Once you are you have the status, sit down. once you have the status in this country, join any political party and they will bring you in. There is a meeting every month of Labour Party in my ward, which is a Tory, totally Tory. And if you go to Barking or somewhere, if you are a member, they will contact you. So you have to become member first. And there are student unions as well. If you are in any university, there are student unions. We will speak later on, but it's all right. I know, obviously, if you are a Pakistani, you are coming here for study, then you should study. That's my point of view, but obviously other will come. Any other person who want to make a brief comment. Thank you very much. So I will only allow now these people, because we have to finish at 8:30, so 1 minute each. Lots up, please.
The issue with those Pakistanis who are not in the West, certainly those who worked in the Middle East, there's no issue with that because they're not dual nationals. They are Pakistani nationals and they don't have a problem. The problem that we have is of those people who are dual nationals, and most of them are in the Western countries. And it is, Shahzad Sahab was advocating for British Pakistanis, the overseas dual nationals, to have the right to vote. And he said, if I understood it rightly, that this should be their constituency. Yeah. Now, this is not what the Pakistani government or the Supreme Court is thinking about.
Exactly.
The constituency that the people will be allowed to vote for is the constituency of their origin. And you cannot have, this will have a severe problem of how people can actually vote in this country for Pakistani elections, because you will have all the constituencies of Pakistan, people will be living in UK, and how are they going to be able to vote? And it is impossible to monitor that vote if that vote is right to vote is given to the Pakistanis overseas. And I think it is only to redivert the Pakistanis' attention to something. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. That is not practicable at all.
Dr. Amna Buttar, just for 1 minute.
Yeah, I actually want to say that I think that I want to go back to my why. Like Lord was saying that we don't want our children and grandchildren to this is our country and this is their country and they should do it. But unfortunately, and Lord Sheikh also said, go invest in businesses and all that. Obviously, this has been doing on immigration started. People started going out of Pakistan in 50s and 60s, and people have been living in UK, US, and have been doing all that. And despite that, from being a peaceful country, we first got divided in half, then we are now being threatened to be divided in 10 parts. We must care. We must care about what happens in Pakistan or other parts of the world. I don't care when you want to pick Timbuktu or wherever, some country in Africa, pick that. But we must care about countries that are being destroyed right in front of our eyes by extremism, by nepotism, by all these evils. And because we are originally from Pakistan, we must care about Pakistan. And people cannot start their businesses there, cannot end their businesses there. Things are being destroyed, and the only way to change things in Pakistan is to engage in the political process in Pakistan and support the secular and progressive politicians in Pakistan. And one of the ways our children will want to engage in Pakistan is if they have a right to participate in the politics in Pakistan. Otherwise, obviously, they will say, why should I care? This is my country.
Stand up and first people at the back.
Miracle, I don't want to say this. I accept what I want.
मैं एक सिर्फ ये गुजारिश करना चाहता हूँ I know there is a difference of opinion because we've been talking about it for the last year. Some people are deadly against this idea of dual nationality, that they should be given right, and some are opposite. But I'm a little bit confused with Lord Saab because he is dual national and he is member here. And this is what we are telling those people, that if our people, dual national, can be member of British Parliament, what's wrong with us over there? So I think
I can explain that.
I know there's a difference of opinion.
I
said
it already, and last thing I want to do is to personalize anybody, and I have great respect for everybody. All what I spoke was, I gave point of views of everybody. I did not advocate my point, but Shahzad has indicated why I and Amna are hurt and why we are emphasizing on that point. But before I do that, second thing, Lord Sahib, is that you have two people in Pakistan, like your grandmother and whatever, and I have two people here. I've got 5 brothers there. I want to retire there. I came here to work and learn. I'm building a hospital there, charity hospital there. I've got my family, my father's land. I have bought so much property there. It is my choice. That is my country. I'm national here, I'm national there. We are active here as well in politics. So everybody has personal, we should not put our own personal circumstances to make a view. The view should be very honest. And the view is that if you are allowed here, you should be allowed there. And then young men said, and many of us have not left Pakistan for good. And we should not. And my children go 30 times a year to Pakistan. They speak Urdu, English. They are born here. He's working as a lawyer for Fox News. The other one is doing everything. It's a global thing. It's changed. Poor old times you used to leave the country and sell everything and go. Now you live in 3-4 countries. You have a holiday there. You got home there. So it's a different situation we are dealing with. However, you oppose, you suppose. Shahzad Sahab कहते हैं कि यहाँ से हो. I fully agree with Lord Sahab. There should not be any politics here. There should not be any branches here. We should not contest and fight with each other. So everybody has a different point of view. But again, Shahzad Sahab said, if we want to take it further, like Amna said, and not for me, we have done our job. I don't want to be member again there. I've done it all, perfectly happy. Done a bit. Let children do. I'm not interested at all. Even they request me. That's not me. I'm not doing for myself. But should we sit here, let Pakistan suffer?
No.
Should we sell our all properties there? Should we not tell our children, don't go there, it's a bad land? If we are not going to go there, if our children are going to go there, who's going to go there? So it's just a bit of wider subject than just. It's a bit of a wider subject to discuss whether we have a duty to Pakistan. That's all. So I personally feel we have a duty to Pakistan. We should interfere in it. And then lots of type and us people in. I told you already, I and Amna, we used to stand up on any human rights issue without any fear to our own parties. Politics over there is that you cannot go against your party plan. We always used to stand up. We used to be on one issue together. This is what England has told us. This is what, you know. So it's a bit of wider subject. Please look at it. मेरे कहने से, आपके कहने से, किसी से कहने से law नहीं बदलेगा. But if we are trying to understand what the issue is, आज आपको foreigner कहा गया. मैं नहीं कहता, मैं जज साहब की इज्जत करता हूँ. Absolutely he decided on the merit, whatever, fine. पर ये करे ना कि हमें जब हमने सब कुछ किया तो हमें जेलों की सजा तो ना दे. Disqualify कर दिया. He should not go any further. But before I close, if we want to make a movement out of it, if we want to make a movement out of it, if we want to bring a change to Pakistan, if we want to help Pakistan, that we are privileged here, आराम से सोते हैं, खाते हैं, सब कुछ है, but 20 crore people are suffering. अगर हमारे अंदर पाकिस्तान की feeling है, you want to do something over there, then obviously we have to make a movement. We have to make a movement, and we have to make a consensus here. ये नहीं है कि जियो वाले बुलाएं और हम आपस में लड़ते रहें. Let's make a consensus here. I will ask Lasharie Sahab to book a whole day here and lunch and dinner as well. So,
I'll tell you. I tell you. First of all, we have to get out of our own personal ambition. I totally agree with you. There are many ambitious people here. There are young people sitting here, and I hope they will become.
I have no ambition.
Sir, you have to
I don't want to be like. I want to elect him.
No,
I want to nominate Ashraf.
Can I speak now? Can I? I have notes. So let me conclude the meeting, please. Yes. Please. Now I'm concluding it. You will have a chance to speak to each other. Can I say that I personally believe that there should be no political party in this country of Pakistan region?
Yes.
Tell me any country which has got political parties in this country that is
I second you.
Sir, let me say, if you second me, support me outside. And second thing is, if you want to help your country, form Third World Solidarity, which is working not only in Pakistan, but in India, in Bangladesh, in Ethiopia. So we are a global village living in United Kingdom. So let's work for all oppressed people in the world and not limit ourselves to one country or other. Third thing, there are other organizations like UKPCCI, which is working only on Pakistan trade. So let's become involved in those organizations which are not related to a directly political party of Pakistan, but individual. Become member of those organizations, and then if there is a member, Mohsen Bari Sahab comes to me tomorrow and become member of Third World Solidarity, he can initiate a debate which is only invited People's Party members to speak and promote their point of view. Or so Dr. Sahab can become member of Third World Solidarity and say, tomorrow I want to have a debate and invite Nawaz Sharif. I will be very happy to invite. So let's work with those organizations which are working beyond boundaries and beyond political narrow philosophy. Can I also say that I totally agree with many comments that China, Brazil, India, many other countries have benefited from their people who have went abroad and they have built their countries. China is the biggest example. India is another one. Brazil was mentioned. And can I conclude by saying that I totally agree with Sarwar Bari Sahab that we have to have civil social movements which becomes a very strong movement. We can disagree on one point, we can agree on one. So let's start on agreeing one point, that we want a oppression ended in the world wherever it is. Let's agree that equality should be brought in. Let's agree that human rights should be promoted wherever we work. First of all, I want to thank the speakers who have come and spoken. Let's give them a big clap. And I want a big clap for yourself, but especially for Alia and Ahmad, who have come all the way from USA and listened to us very quietly. They are our future leaders. Big clap to them. Now there are some fruits, some chips, some drinks is left. So don't go without finishing all drink. I can't carry it back home. So please, and talk to each other. And I'm sorry, Ahmad Saab, I'm still 10 minutes late. Even I.
You break the law.
I'm sorry. That's why I'm saying sorry. I live in.